I am in front of the building I used to live in 6 years ago when I came to Pinecrest. I came here after the building we had lived in Spryfield got condemned. I came out looking for an apartment one day and I found this one here on Pinecrest. You can go anywhere within HRM and mention this street and get such diverse reactions. Like it's got a notorious name, and I wanted to find out why. People I talked to told me I didn't want to live here. It seemed okay, except for when I went to look for a job. I'd been here about 2 months and I applied for a couple of jobs, and when I didn't hear back from one that I was really interested in, I called them and they said not to bother contacting them again because they didn't hire anybody who lived on Pinecrest. When I couldn't even get an interview because of where I lived, I had to go and rent a private mailbox and use that as an address in order to get work.
Hi, I'm Stephanie, and I've lived in the North End, Dartmouth for 12 years. Myths are that it's a bad place and there's like a lot of gang-related violence that goes on here, but I've never had a problem. I've lived here since I was 6. It's been a good neighborhood to me. I just think that the North End's a good place and there's bad people everywhere.
Denise, how long have you lived in the North End?
I've been in the North End about 38 years.
What do you think the biggest misconception is?
A few bad things happen in our neighborhood. People have had a few bad things happen to them, so they just blacklist it. But every community in Halifax and Dartmouth has problems.
So Trish, for you, how do you find living on Pinecrest?
It's actually quieter than most people would think it is.
And your building, good building?
About as good as any.
There are a lot of good people on the street. I have no problem walking on the street at night. You know, no problem. I've never have.
You feel safe?
I feel safe.
Awesome. In 1996, the Dartmouth North Community Centre was built at 134 Pinecrest Drive, and what had previously been a garbage dump for the North End residents.
We're at the Dartmouth North Community Centre in the computer lab. I've been working in here for 3 months. I lived in Pinecrest for 28 years. There's a big change in the atmosphere on the street. Before, you could say what you want, like it was nothing to sit out in your front step 1, 2 o'clock in the morning and run over to Green Gables store, which you wouldn't dare do now. The street has been labelled as nothing ever good comes out of it and things like that, and it's something that will always stay with the people in this area.
So Peter, how long have you lived on Pinecrest Drive?
Since I was 21.
21, how many years is that?
That's about a few years ago.
A few years ago?
Yeah.
And you go around a lot of the buildings and collect bottles?
Yeah, a lot of buildings collect bottles, yeah.
What do you think about what people say about Pinecrest, that we're all druggies and welfare bums?
Well, I don't really bother with that, right? But now I really don't bother with that, right? Because people like people don't bother me sometimes, right? They don't bother me. I just ignore them. That's all I do. Just ignore them.
My name's Dickie. It's my son Jordan. It's my dog Cletus. And then we from Pinecrest.
I think people have the fair opinion of the place.
I don't think their opinion. I don't think outsiders' opinions are right about the place. Like if you're not from around here, you know what I mean? Like somebody from outside somewhere else trying to say something about around here don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Like, oh, well, that's a bad area. You can't go around there. You go around there, you might have to worry about either get shot at or whatnot, right? It's not even like that around here.
Sometimes I hear people call this the dark side.
Yeah.
What do they mean by that?
That's the new generation calling it the dark side. It's all these new young guys growing up. Say the generation after me that calls it the dark side. My generation calls it North and Dartmouth, like, you know what I mean, NED. No, it's NED's when it's on my back, not Pinecrest.
Hi, Doug. Mike Burgess. Glad to meet you. Hey, come on in. My biggest challenge was, you'd put an ad in the newspaper, you'd get a phone call, somebody responding to an ad, and the first question is, where is it? Well, you say Pinecrest, thank you very much, not interested, goodbye. I had a great tenant that went away for a week or so, and he let his buddy stay at his apartment. His buddy decided he was going to deal drugs out of that unit. So next thing you know, we see traffic coming in and out of the front door. We put a stop to that. As a result of that, he opens up a drive-through window. So we put a stop to that. We literally had a picnic table set outside of the window, and we just put out of business. Now what it is, it's a 2-bedroom. So what you were looking for.
How much for rent?
The rent's $625, and that's with heat and hot water included.
That's not bad, okay.
Poverty is a challenge that many residents here on Pinecrest struggle with.
Okay.
Around here, a lot of people not me myself, I got a good job, but most people around here, they don't assistance and stuff like that. If we go out to the superstore out there on Brightmeyer Drive, your food's cheaper out there than what it is at the Sobeys right here. When this Sobeys here should be lower for the people in the community, make us pay more, so I guess that's how the rich stay rich and the poor stay poor, right? But that's how it is. Yeah, there's crime around here, and we're not gonna go and act like it doesn't happen, right? So I got kids, and I gotta look out for them. To tell you the truth, one day I was sitting just in the living room, me and my daughter, my girlfriend was going to work, and hear a couple of gunshots, and I could hear pow, you hear pap, 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 and the way after the gunshots went off, someone got shot. You had these other murders and stuff that are going around here. Like down here, had this guy got stomped, got beat up, and he laid there till the next morning.
Yes, I was around when the community center was built, and there's been a big impact. I find it has taken a lot of kids off the street, and it seems like they're involved in different programs here, and which has helped them improve them. Like the library, they're using the resources there for the homework and things like that. If it wasn't here, it would not be available to them. Not many of those kids are going to go all the way downtown to go to the library. If there was more resources available to the center, then they could accomplish a lot more and offer more. But you have to have your resources first to get anywhere.
It was 6 years ago that Hurricane Juan hit Nova Scotia, and people in the city had no electricity for days. Well, I brought the cups.
Yeah, let's have our tea right up here.
Right where the fire pit used to be.
Yeah.
But I come back and I think about the hurricane. That 3 days of blackout was when we really knew what community was in the North End. I mean, a lot of people I still meet now, I haven't lived here in years, who remember this time.
I remember there's one woman with maybe 2 or 3 kids, and she had blanket upon blanket, and I think they came the second night. And the kids were so comforted by the blankets and the fire and just other people, and they were afraid of the darkness in their apartment building, is what the mom said. Yeah. There was community. We were tight, and we all looked out for each other.
It was when it first started going dark the first night that more people started coming, because it became clear that there was no rescue coming.
Everybody helped everybody that day.
But it took
those 2 days, everybody helped everybody.
And by Wednesday, I called the paper and I said, why is it that we're last in the hood?
Yeah, but we weren't.
But we weren't. That was the whole thing, because it was Wednesday afternoon it came on. And I remember having a conversation saying that we were probably one of the first because they were afraid we were all going to get rowdy.
And then...
really?
But we weren't.
No, we weren't.
We were the only community, I think, that had not one incident of crime. There was no crime reported during those 3 days of blackout up here. Nothing. I'm curious now what it looks like, if it looks any better. I mean, the outside never ever looked bad. It was just what was going on inside. So I'm just kind of curious, and just going to take a quick look. Oh, so it looks like they still didn't fix the buzzers, but no, they've got some new paint and the same new tile, and it says closed camera. So it looks like there's some security here. So I think it all looks good, and there's people here.
So this is 115 Pinecrest. This is where we are now. I bought 14 Charles Street in 1990, and now I own 9 buildings in the area.
And what's that?
I had one tenant that came to me and said that this is the first time she's felt safe in quite a few years. Yes. That's extremely rewarding as from a landlord's perspective. One of my philosophies has always been that I wouldn't rent an apartment that I wouldn't live in myself, and I wouldn't live just anywhere. We're seeing a lot more people taking pride in ownership, other landlords and tenants amongst the street. That's very encouraging to see that we have pride in our surroundings, our buildings, and even bigger, our communities.
The only store on the street has closed since Doug and I moved away, and not everything on the street seems perfect. But we've discovered that things aren't as bad as we thought. People are taking responsibility for where they live. One of the things I noticed that surprised me was the amount of people who had curtains in the windows. The curtains in the window symbolizing pride in the homes, which may not be the best homes, but they're taking care of them. And I noticed there was no garbage on the lawns, and I noticed people had a happier demeanor. I got a lot more smiles than I expected, far more smiles than scowls. I think we found people were beginning to take pride, and the pride in themselves is flowing through.
Come on, look further. Yeah, I have a feeling it's totally structural. Okay? But if you're very careful, you can at least kind of get the feeling, and then we'll get Katie to loan you her bike, okay? So you try Katie's bike.
Your auntie niece.
Okay. That's no good. Now start here, and just push yourself forward, and just coast.
Edward, what do you like about living up here?
I like because it's nice, and it's also good for learning how to ride the bike up here.
I just really like it down here. It's nice and peaceful down here.
I like living here because we're in a big city, but this is a small town.
Oh yeah, I love living here. I got tons of friends, and I just pretty much grew up here my whole life.
I lived in other places, and it's not the same. I love living here.
There's good families here and good people.
So are you happy here?
Yeah, happy here.
Yeah?
Yeah.
And you think you'll stay a while?
Yeah, I think I'll stay a while. Yeah.